Hi everyone, hope you're doing well and staying safe. For this practice, we are going to be using a chair. So if you have a stable and sturdy chair, please go ahead and get it. And if you do need any props, you can use a blanket in lieu of a block and a belt in lieu of a strap, official yoga strap. So grab those and then let's go on our backs and start in our opening pose of our Shavasana. So you can lie back. Remember, feel free to have those knees bent and resting against each other if you have any concerns with the lower back. Or you can extend the legs long, separate those feet a little bit wider than the hips. And then allow the arms to relax down by the sides, turn the palms to face up. And we'll just take a few moments here as we feel our body relax, maybe our mind relax as well. And give yourself permission for that the next hour of your yoga practice, maybe all you're thinking about is your breath. So you can kind of set aside any other thoughts that you have, knowing that you can always return to them later. But make this time, especially for you, your time for self-care. And if you haven't started your Ujjayi Breath already, let's go ahead and start it by breathing in and out through the nose, feeling the belly rise and fall as you breathe, and then adding that soothing sound to your breath. Some call it the sound of the ocean. And we'll try to maintain our Ujjayi breath as best as we can throughout our practice. And you're always welcome to modify, skip. You can pause the video and take as many breaks as you need. And we're just doing the best that we can for today and doing what feels good for today. Let's start to bend those knees and slide the feet onto your mats. Let's separate the feet as wide as the mat and start with that gentle sway of the knees right and left a few times. Getting an easy spinal twist. If it feels good to stay in one spot for an extra round of breath, you can. And you're also welcome to keep the eyes closed if that feels good. Let's draw those knees back to rest against each other. And let's draw the arms up to the ceiling, palms facing each other. Drag the backs of the shoulders down. And we're just going to hold here for a moment. You're welcome to keep the arms straight up to the ceiling. If you want a little bit more, let's start to lift those arms very gently, a little bit closer up over the head. Just until you feel a little warm up for the shoulders, a little energy start to build. And then let's draw those arms back down by the sides. Step those feet more towards hip width and then hug the right knee in. Just give it a little squeeze. And with that right knee hugged in, let's hug the left knee in. Give that knee a little squeeze. And then let's rock a little bit left and right. Maybe move those two knees together in a circular pattern. Change the direction of those circles. And then let's extend those legs up. You can either have the hands kind of supporting the legs, or you can relax the arms down by the sides as you start to put some movement into the feet, the toes. So let's point and flex the feet a few times. Let's wiggle those toes. See if you can kind of crack your toe knuckles. And then let's start to circle those feet a few times in one direction. And then change the direction of your foot circles. And then let's inhale, press the heels up. Maybe take the hands along the back of the legs, almost as if you're trying to stretch the backs of the legs a little bit more. And then as you exhale, hug those knees into the chest. Point out through the toes. Maybe lift the hips off of the floor or of your mat if that feels good. And then inhale, stretch the legs up. You can draw the legs together. And we'll take our arms or hands to the backs of the legs and kind of sweep them up. Kind of trying to lengthen, trying to loosen them out. And then exhale, draw it in. So let's do a few more times, moving with the rhythm of the breath. is starting to warm up through the legs, get an easy early stretch, and don't forget about the core. So make sure you're engaging through the core, those front belly muscles that help to support the spine. My knee is cracking. And then hug those knees into the chest with one hand lightly on each knee. Let's start to circle those knees in opposite direction. And then change the direction of those knee circles. So just kind of opening up through the hips, feeling how the hips are doing for today. And then let's draw our legs into a tabletop position. So have the shins about parallel to the floor and start to feel the belly engage. So neutral position in the spine. Let's preserve that space, that little space between the lower back and the mat. And then arms are down by the sides, or you could even slide your thumbs underneath your bottom if you need a little bit more support. And we'll start to separate those feet. You can have the feet, the toes pointed or pointed forward or up, whatever feels comfortable. And we'll just start to lower the right leg down any amount, preserving that angle in the right knee. It doesn't have to be all the way, just until you feel a kind of a little bit more work in that lower belly. And then let's draw that right leg up and over to the other side. And draw the left leg back up. So inhale as the right leg lowers. Exhale as you lift. Inhale, left leg lowers. Exhale, lift. Just do a few more times on each side. Starting to warm up the core, starting to strengthen that lower belly. And if you do start to feel this in the lower back, you can hug the knees into the chest, get a little stretch for the lower back. Or you can also just keep the legs a little bit higher up. So not releasing the leg too far down, just enough to where you feel that movement, that work of those muscles along the lower belly. So it's up to you, the depth. Always remember to modify or skip if you need to. And then the next time the left leg draws back up, let's relax through those legs, hug them in. If it feels good to lift the hips off of the mat and get a stretch there, then you can, maybe a little rock left and right. And then let's place the feet down onto our mat for a few dynamic bridge pulses, kind of a counter pose so we can stretch to the front of the body. So draw the feet and the knees hip bone distance. We'll have the heels about one hand length away from your bottom. And as you're ready, inhaling to lift those hips and just pausing at the top so you get a stretch for the fronts of the legs. And then as you exhaling, still engaging through that core, roll it down the spine. See if the tailbone is the last thing to reach the mat if you can. So we want to kind of lengthen out through that lower back. Inhale, press into the heels and lift. And then exhale, slowly roll it down. So let's move a few more rounds on the rhythm of the breath. And while the back of the legs are working really hard, see if you can completely relax through the shoulders. So sometimes the shoulders might tense up. See if you can relax those shoulders down, moving, melting them to the mat, keeping the head in just a neutral position so that we're not lifting the chin up or too far down. You can have that neutral position of the spine along the back of the neck. And then the next time you relax your bottom down onto the mat, let's start to step those feet and the knees together. Turn the palms to face up. And then inhaling, let's come into a reclined butterfly pose. So start to separate the knees until you feel your mild sensation of stretch in those inner thighs. So hands are along the outer legs for support if you need it. And then let's start to slowly draw those inner legs back together. Feel a gentle squeeze. You'll enjoy the music from my clock. Let's inhale to separate those knees. Get an easy stretch, and then exhale, draw it in. And when you exhale and draw it in, see if you can also engage to that lower part of the core, the lower belly muscles, to help assist the legs to draw back together. So let's just do one more round, finding your easy sensation of a stretch, and then draw those knees back together. And then one by one, hug those knees into the chest. Let's continue with our core series by drawing those legs back into a tabletop position. So shins are roughly parallel to the floor. The thighs can be as close to you as is comfortable or up to perpendicular. Start to engage through the belly. Arms down by the sides, palms down. Maybe slide the thumbs underneath your bottom for a little extra support. Let's separate those knees about hip bone distance. And then on the inhale, let's straighten the right leg either up to the ceiling or straight out or at some angle where you're feeling some work happening with the core. And then exhale, we'll drop back to neutral. So inhale, left leg straightens any amount straight up or a little bit further down. And exhale, draw it in. So moving side to side, if you want a little bit more of energy in your practice, as you draw that thigh in, really feel the squeeze. So you're drawing that right thigh in a little bit closer than neutral, closer than the left, and then return it to neutral. And then left leg extends long. And then draw it in, little squeeze, and then back to neutral. So just a few more times on each side. Working with control. So it's not about speed. It's about smooth, controlled movement. Let's do one more on each side. And last time. And then relax those feet, hug those knees in, that little kind of movement that feels good. Set the feet down onto your mat for bridge pose number 2, feet and knees hip bone distance. Let's extend the arms up, draw the shoulders down, and have the palms facing each other. We're just going to keep the arms where they are as we inhale to lift those hips as high as is comfortable, your bridge pose, and then exhale slowly with control and as smoothly as you can, release down, tailbone maybe, try to get the last thing to touch the mat. Inhale is to lift. And then exhale is to release. So just a few more times on your rhythm of breath. And then this next time that your bottom reaches the mat, let's reach the arms up to a comfortable point. See if you can stretch the sideways, but keep pulling the shoulders to the hips so the shoulders aren't lifting up. And then arms back up to the ceiling and down by the sides. And then step those feet and the knees together. Our reclined butterfly pulses. Inhale to separate those knees to a comfortable point. Exhale, draw back in. Feel the squeeze of the inner legs and of the lower belly. Inhale is to separate those knees. And exhale, draw them back. Let's just do one more time. Inhale is to separate. Easy stretch. Exhale, draw them back. And then hug those knees in. Give them a squeeze. Cross the right thigh over the left. And then if you can, draw those legs a little bit closer towards you without twisting at the hips. So you'll feel just an easy opening along those outer hips. Release, switch over, left thigh over the right, crossing the legs, relaxing the feet or flexing the feet if that's more comfortable. And then drawing it in any amount. Make sure the hips are even, so we don't want one hip to be higher than the other. And then let's slowly release. Let's get a full body stretch. Slide your legs towards straight, point out through the toes, draw the arms up to a comfortable point. Take a couple deep rounds of Ujjayi Breath here. So energizing through the legs without locking out the knees, pointing the toes down. So stretching through the fronts of the ankles, stretching through the belly. If it feels good to get a little arch in the spine, you can, or just keep that spine in neutral. Let's draw the arms back alongside the body, draw the toes up to the ceiling, bend those knees, slide the feet onto your mat. Let's gently roll onto our right side. And slowly make your way up to a comfortable seat. Ooh. So comfortable seat, whatever that means to you, whether that's having your legs crossed or extended forward. Remember, if you do find the knees are really high, you can slide a blanket or even a pillow underneath your hips to give you a little lift, or just extend those legs forward. Let's draw the palms of the hands together at our heart center and just take a moment here. Maybe close the eyes. Maybe set an intention or a dedication for your practice. An intention that I've been using has been the intention of peace, whether that's peace in the world or peace within myself during this intense time. So let that intention or that dedication settle into your mind, into your heart. And then let's open the eyes if they're closed. Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining me in our practice today. Let's draw the hands onto the thighs. Let's start with a few spinal circles. So circling the upper half of the body, over the lower, making it feel good, loosening things up. Especially if you have any tightness in the back of the body, make this feel like a good stretch. Let's change the direction of our circles. And then let's come back to center. Change the crossing of the legs if they're crossed. Circle your right arm out and up, so I'll mirror you. And then easy, gentle side bends. Come back to center, over to the other side. Gentle side bend. And then come back to center. Both arms out and up. And then hands to the heart. So right arm out and up. Easy side bend. Over to the other side, left arm out and up, easy side bend, come back to center, inhale both arms out and up, and then hands to the heart, and one more time, right arm out and up, easy side bend, left arm out and up as you inhale, exhale, side bend, both arms out and up, exhale, hands to the heart. Take a moment here, see if you can relax those outer knees down. And feel that the spine is lengthening, the back of the neck is also lengthening, so you're not lifting the chin up, but you're also not drawing it too far down. And then let's keep those palms pressing together, and we'll turn just the head over to your right. And then while you're here, just notice that the shoulders are right over the hips. Bottom of the chin stays parallel. Easy stretch along the left side of the neck. And let's draw the head through center and over to the other side. Easy stretch. Breathing your Ujjayi breath. And then make your way back to center. Relax those hands onto the thighs. Let's come forward onto our hands and knees into our tabletop pose. So we'll have those knees right underneath the hips. Have those hands underneath the shoulders or slightly forward. And if you do have any sensitivities in the wrist, feel free to come onto your forearms, and you can place some pillows or something underneath to give you a little height and some support. Moving into our cow-cat, let's inhale, a little arch in the spine, maybe look forward, and then exhale, pull it in, round through the spine. So a few more rounds on the rhythm of your breath. Remember, just going into a movement that feels good to the body. We're not only getting some good movement for the spine, we're also engaging through those core muscles and getting a stretch for the front of the chest in cow pose and the back of the body in our cat. And then let's come back to center. You can step those knees a little bit closer towards each other for a little balance. Let's start to extend your right leg straight back. We're going to keep the hands onto the mat just for a moment. And from here, we'll start to turn your right toes to the right. And as you turn the right toes to the right, feel the right hip start to lift so it's higher than the left, and then slowly release it back down. And as you release back down, let's turn those right toes to point down. So we'll turn, as you turn the right toes to the right, start to lift the right hip a little bit higher than the left, almost like you're trying to stack the right hip over the left. Little twist here, and then release back down. And then let's do that one more time. Turn the toes to the right as you twist the hips, lift the right hip over the left, and then release back down, release the knee down. Let's take a moment in child's pose. So separate those knees a bit wider than the hips, and then release as far down as is comfortable. And if you do find that your hips are kind of lifted off of your heels. If it's comfortable, an option is to slide a pillow or a blanket between your heels and your bottom so you can get a little bit more release. And then the arms, or wherever feels comfortable for you, releasing the head down, maybe onto your own hands or a pillow. It's nice when we do our practice at home. We have so many more props to make our practice comfortable. So feel free to grab those. Let's come back up, tabletop pose. Step those knees together, moving over to the other side. So engage through the core, draw the shoulders back. Notice if you're overarching through the spine, neutral position in the spine. Extend the left leg back. So we're doing kind of these little hip twists here. So as we draw the toes to the left, start to point them to the left, we'll get a little twist in the hips. So the left hip starts to stack over the right. But keep the shoulders even and the chest pointing down. And then return it back down. So a couple more times. And remember, as always, just going to the point that feels good to you. Not only getting some twist in the hips, but also working through that core, the muscles of the shoulders. Release back down, set the knee down, sit it back in child's pose. And then in our child's pose, since we twisted the hips, let's get a little twist for the upper half of the body. So in child's pose, let's have the arms forward and then draw your right arm underneath your left. So turn the right palm to face up. And we're kind of threading as far as feels comfortable, trying to get that outer right shoulder down, but always just going to a comfortable point. And you can use like a pillow or even your own left fist to rest the right side of the head on the fist or on a pillow or on your mat. So easy twist for the upper part of the spine. And then let's release that very slowly and move over to the other side. Left arm threads underneath the right. Maybe making a pillow with the right hand. Easy twist here. And then let's slowly unwind. Extend those arms. So slide those hands forward as you are. You're lifting those hips until they're over the knees and then releasing into puppy pose. So find what works best for you. So that might mean more of a higher puppy pose, or if you feel open already, it just kind of depends on the time of the day. It's early morning for me, so I'm going to stay a little bit higher up. But if you feel warm and it's okay for you to go a little bit further down, find what works best for you. Or maybe you need to come up a little bit higher, more of an active puppy pose. Looking for some length in the spine, but never forcing it. So just allowing the body to come into these poses naturally and comfortably. And then let's start to walk our hands back. I'm going to scooch myself a little bit further back. So coming into our inversion again, either puppy pose, which we just did, keeping those hips right atop the knees, walking the hands as far forward as you can, and melting. It's like you're melting the armpits down towards the mat, looking for an easy stretch for the spine. If you're ready to come into downward facing dog, walking the hands a few inches forward of the shoulders, curling the toes, lifting those hips, and pedaling through the legs maybe if you need to find some movement to open things up. This is my first downward facing dog for today, since I did start in the morning, so I'm going to find some movement. I'm even going to separate my feet as wide as the mat and just kind of feel things out. Ooh, there's a little pop there. That was just a knuckle, I think. And then finding stillness, taking a moment here. And then let's release knees, hips, sit it back into child's pose. All right, let's come through. We'll come through an inversion if you'd like, just so we can come up to a standing position. If you prefer just to come right up to a standing position, go ahead and do so safely. And if you'd like to do another downward facing dog or puppy pose, take a few moments, take a few breaths in that pose, and then slowly come up to a forward fold. Going to pass really quickly through downward facing dog. Get one more little stretch for the backs of the legs. And then I'll start to bend the knees, slowly come into a forward fold at the top of my mat. And then let's just take a moment here. Let's relax the head down. Remember, supported forward fold, so maybe the forearms are onto the thighs. And then from our forward fold, let's start to bend those knees and use our hands to gently walk up our body so we could roll it up through the spine, engaging through the core, adjusting those closing your pockets. And then let's make our way to a tall way of standing, coming into our mountain pose. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to the heart. 2 more times. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then 1 more time. Let's come into a forward fold, soft bend in the knees, dive it down. Inhale, halfway lift, draw the heart forward. See if you can find a strong flat back and lengthen the back of the neck. So the back of the neck is lengthened and pointing up towards the ceiling. And then next exhale, release back into your forward fold, supported. Inhale, let's rise all the way up. You can bend those knees, circle those arms out and up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. So let's bring our chair in. And if you didn't get a chance to find a chair before we started, you can pause the video and find a stable and sturdy chair. And then we're going to place it like we do in class, kind of at the top of the mat, and make sure it doesn't slip or slide as best, or yes, don't want it to slip or slide at all. So let's stand behind our chair. Let's draw those arms, this time forward and up as you inhale. And then exhale, soft bend in the knees, fold it forward. Hands can be on the chair this time and feel the weight of the upper body translate through the hands onto the chair. And then inhale, let's come up halfway, draw the shoulders back. And staying here for a moment. So if you find that the feet are pretty close to the chair, draw them back. So almost we're in a tabletop pose, just a standing table where the feet are right about underneath the hips, shoulders draw back, hands are underneath the shoulders or slightly forward, soft bend in the knees. And then from here, let's come into just a mini cow pose. So a little arch in the spine, and then a mini cat pose. Go ahead and round. And then 1 more time, mini cow. So remember, it's just to the point of comfort, maybe straightening the legs a little bit so you can feel an easy stretch along the back of the legs, and then a mini cat. And then we'll come back to center, and then soft bend in the knees, rise with that flat back. So really you can bend those knees until you feel your bottom engaged, and then we'll rise on up. You can walk your hands onto your legs for support. Let's draw those arms forward and up, and then hands to the heart. So if you did step away from the chair, go ahead and step a little bit closer to it. And let's find ourselves in Warrior 1. So step the left foot back. Bend the right knee to stack and track, strong in the left leg. Tighten up through the core, shoulders over the hips. Draw those arms forward and up. Move the shoulders down. Take a moment here in Warrior 1. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Release the fingertips onto your chair. Coming into a Warrior 1 twist. So shoulders draw back. We'll leave the left fingertips onto the chair. And you can place them a little bit higher if you need to. And then we'll take the right hand onto the hip. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, so the right hand is keeping that hip where it is so the hips aren't twisting. We're just turning the shoulders and the chest and the head to the right. So strong in the core, strong flat back. Ujjayi breath. And then let's slowly untwist. You can place both hands onto the seat of the chair, onto the top of the chair, and we'll slowly start to stand into our right leg. For this person, we'll keep those left toes down. Hold here. So you'll feel some good strength work in that right leg. And then you can, as you upright the spine, just slide that left foot to meet the right. Let's move over to the other side. So right foot steps back. Warrior 1. Draw those arms forward and up when you're ready, and move the shoulders down. Take another round of breath here. And then on the exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Fingertips either on the top of the chair, and you're always welcome to slide the chair closer towards you if you need it, or on the seat of the chair. So really maintaining the integrity of the pose. Right hand stays down, left hand onto the hip. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, just turning. It's as if you're looking over something to your left, but the hips stay even. So you don't want the hips to start to twist. Hips stay nice, even as you can. And then we're just looking to a comfortable point. Strong through the belly, strong through the lower back. And then let's slowly twist. Fingertips can stay on the seat of the chair or the top of the chair. And then we'll start to stand, or at least shift most of the weight into that left leg. You can keep those right toes down, adjusting if you need to. And then feeling the work of that outer hip. And then as you upright, let's come to stand. Let's separate those feet wider than the base of the chair. So coming into a wide leg forward fold. Take an inhale here. Let's draw those arms forward and up. Then as you exhale, soft bend in the knees, hinge forward at the hips. Maybe the hands are just staying at the top of the chair or at the seat of the chair. Even though the heels are on your mat, feel the weight move towards the balls of the feet. And then just finding your depth of your forward fold. So maybe you're staying a little bit higher, if it is okay to go a little bit lower. So just finding what works best for your body. And then let's come back onto our hands. Hands either on the top of the chair or the seat of the chair. Soft bend in the knees. We're going to kind of pivot on our heels, so we're turning the toes out 45 degrees, coming into temple pulses. And then let's start to bend those knees, draw those hips back so they're more in line with the heels. And maybe you're staying with your hands onto the chair, or maybe you're starting to lift the chest. Maybe fingertips are onto the top of the chair, or maybe hands are onto the thighs. And notice if your bottom is so far back behind you. See if you can pull it in. Lift up through the chest if your hands are on your thighs. If your hands are on the chairs, you can hinge forward at the hips a little bit. And maybe you're here, or maybe your hands are at your heart. Making sure those knees are tracking towards the center of the toes. They don't go past the toes. Take another inhale, and then exhale upright. Release the arms. Turn all 10 toes to point forward. And then let's heel toe those feet back to being in line with each other. Let's find our feet in chair pose feet. So either feet together or feet hip bone distance apart. And as you're ready, let's come into chair. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, let's lift the heels off of the mat, draw the arms back behind us, palms facing up, and then hinge forward at the hips. Strong flat back, really tighten up through the core. And then slowly bend those knees, softly release those heels down. Inhale into chair, and then exhale, lift those heels. Arms draw back, hinge a little bit more forward at the hips. Maybe starting to straighten the legs, work those toes. And then next, inhale back to chair one more time. And then exhale, lift those heels. Maybe straighten the legs, maybe hinge forward at the hips. Arms draw back. And then softly release down. Inhale, chair. Exhale, hands to the heart. Take a moment here. Find your intention, your dedication. And then release those arms down. Let's keep the right foot where it is. Left foot steps back. Warrior one. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Adjusting those feet, heel to arch alignment. Inhale, let's reverse our warrior. And then exhale, hand onto the chair. So notice if you're kind of side bending, really want to make sure we're getting a lot of length through the spine. So finding that lift in the chest, right knee stacks and track. Maybe even drawing the chair a little bit closer to you so you can use your hand on the top of the chair. Draw the shoulders back. Let's come into side angle pose. Left arm sweeps out and up. And maybe draw the arm up by the ear and breathing here. And then let's slowly go ahead and release back down. We'll take both hands onto the seat of the chair or the top of the chair. Come into a kind of a runner's lunge. So separate those feet, hip bone distance apart. Left toes are curled under. Feel the stretch along the back of the left leg. Inhale, little cow pose. Exhale, round. And then keeping that belly engaged, let's start to step that left foot up to meet the right. Bend those knees. Let's slow roll it up the spine. And then inhale to draw those arms forward and up. And then exhale, hands to the heart. I'm just going to move my chair over to the other side so that when we come onto this side, I can still kind of be facing you. So let's find our feet in our chair pose, feet going through that flow again. Either feet together, feet hip bone distance apart. Remember, the knees will stay apart the same distance that the feet are apart in our chair pose. Inhale, chair. Sink it down. And then exhale, lift the heels. Draw the arms back and up. Maybe straighten the legs, little hinge forward at the hips. Bend those knees, release softly. Inhale, chair. And then exhale, heels lift. And one more time, inhale, chair. And exhale, heels lift. Ooh, a little shaky on this side. And then let's come back to chair as you inhale. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's come into warrior one. Left foot stays where it is, right foot steps back. And then when you're ready, inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Finding that good alignment. Left knee stacks and tracks. Inhale, reverse. Nice easy stretch. Exhale, side angle pose. Fingertips onto the chair or even the top of the chair. And then right arm extends up or by the ear. And just take a moment here. A breath. And then let's slowly take this right arm back down. Let's face the chair, coming into a runner's lunge. Separate those feet, hip bone distance. Inhale, baby cow pose. Exhale, baby cat or kitten pose. And then let's engage through the belly. Step it forward. We'll round through the spine as we slowly make our way up. Let's take a moment here and just do a little tree pose, a little balance work. Let's start with the hands at the center of the chest. Stand with the feet a little bit closer together. And then whichever leg you want to start with, you can start with that strong standing leg, lift the opposite heel, turn it out, and place the heel on the inside of the ankle. Feel that squeeze of energy coming in so that the hips are coming in together and not jutting off to the side, and then finding your tree pose for today. So whatever options you'd like to take with the arms. So it's early in the morning for me, so my balance isn't quite set in yet for today. So I'm just going to enjoy these wiggles, have a laugh as I am allowing my body to fight its way to maintain its upright position. And then let's slowly release down, shake it out. Let's move over to the other side. So standing up tall, hands at the heart. Let's move over to the other side. Open the knee out so you can place the heel on the inside of the ankle. Engage through the core. Really notice the position of the head. If the head is drawing forward, it will throw your balance off and you'll have to fight a lot harder. So try to get that head back, shoulders back. We want to try to get in as perfect posture, as perfect alignment as we can. That will really help the body, especially those lower legs, fight its way to maintain its upright position. I'm a little bit more balanced, I feel, on this side. And just take a couple more deep rounds of Ujjayi breath here. Enjoying those wiggles and those shakes. And let's slowly release. Nice work, everyone. Let's move the chair off to the side. I'm going to face you. So we'll separate those feet. So a nice wide stance. And we'll just come into a few triangle poses. So we'll start, and you can either mirror me or you can go in the same direction that I will be going with the leg. I'm going to start by lifting my right heel, turning my right toes and my right knee to point over to the right, heel to arch alignment. Tighten up through those legs, extend the arms out, pull the shoulders down. We'll first come into reverse triangle, lifting the right arm up, take an inhale, and then as you exhale, hinging forward, initiating at the hips. For this first triangle, we're just going to reach forward. So let's have the right arm extending almost as if it's parallel, or trying to make it relatively parallel to the floor, and really feel the squeeze of the left sideways. Let's even take our left hand to that sideways so you can feel the work happening there. And then make sure you're not walking out the knees. We'll inhale, reverse triangle, stretching out through this right sideways, and then exhale, initiating at the hips, really reaching as far forward with that right hand as you can until the right arm is relatively parallel. If you do feel this in your knees, you can have a micro bend in the knee. Inhale to lift, and then exhale into almost this floating triangle pose. And breathing one more round of breath. Really good work for the sideways. And then let's softly bend through that right knee, upright the spine. And then you can straighten the right leg, all 10 toes to point forward. Let's move over to the other side. Lift the left heel, left toes, left knee, point to the left, heel to arch alignment. Remember, feel free to make micro adjustments for your body if needed. Tighten up through the legs without locking out the knees. And then let's open the arms out. And then come into reverse triangle. Flip your left palm, reach it up. Feel a stretch in the left side waist. And then initiating from the hips. Start to come into triangle pose until you find the left arm about parallel to the floor, really reaching. So reaching as far to the left as you can, but without letting the shoulders lift. Right hand onto the right sideways. Feel the work there. And then inhale, reverse triangle. And then exhale, triangle, floating triangle. Inhale to lift. And then exhale, floating triangle, and hold here. Remember, you can place a soft micro bend in the knee. You can come up a little bit higher. Really feel this work of the right side waist. It's even a little challenging for me to talk while I do this. And then softly bend through that left knee, upright the spine. And then all 10 toes pointing forward. Hands onto the hips. Whew, I really felt that on my side waist. Let's start to step those feet a little bit closer together. Draw the heels in. So the feet are a little bit wider than the hips. Toes can turn out a little bit. So coming either into a supported forward fold, or if you'd like to kind of work on your yogi squat, you're welcome to do that as well. I'm going to give you the side view. I'm even going to have the chair in front of me for a little support. So remember, supported forward fold, just relaxing forward, getting a nice stretch for the back of the body. You want to go a little bit deeper if you want to start working on your yogi squat chair. You can have the chair here in front of you for support if you need it. Make sure those knees are tracking towards the direction of the toes, and then finding the depth of your squat. So it is up to you. Make sure your joints are happy. And we'll just take another round of breath here. That's a nice stretch, not only for the back, but also for the hips. If you're in a low squat, let's make our way to that supported forward fold. And then engage through the core. And let's slowly roll it on up. And then stand behind the chair, or I guess in front of the chair. Let's come into pyramid pose. So right foot stays where it is, left foot steps back. And the left foot is only stepping back maybe a couple feet. So it's a shorter distance than our warrior 1 feet. And then hands onto the hips. We'll take an inhale, both legs relatively straight, thighs engaged. As you exhale, hinge forward at the hips. And then finding our fingertips onto the chair. Moving the chair if you need to. Make sure the hips aren't twisting, so your hips are parallel to the front edge of the chair. And then finding your mild sensation of a stretch underneath this right leg. You'll also feel a stretch underneath or at the back of the left leg as well. So the depth is up to you, really. Just mild sensation. Something where you can easily breathe your Ujjayi breath. Taking a moment, a few rounds of breath here. And taking one more full round of breath. And then let's have a soft bend in those knees. Hands onto the top of the chair. With that strong core, rise on up. Let's switch over to the other side. Right foot steps back, heels of the feet about hip bone distance apart. Right toes can angle to the outside of the chair, hands onto the hips. Both legs relatively straight. Take an inhale. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips. Noticing that the sides of the body are different, so maybe you have to stay a little bit higher on this side, or maybe you're able to go a little bit deeper. But it's just that mild sensation of a stretch. You can even have a soft bend in those knees like I do. And take a few rounds of breath here. Draw the shoulders back. Notice if you're tensing up anywhere else. And then we'll just take a couple more deep rounds of breath here. And then soft bend in those knees. Walk the hands to the top. Tighten up through the core so you can slowly rise on up. Step it forward and shake it out. All right, everyone. So our standing poses are complete. Let's have a seat on our mat, and we will be using the chair. So just keep the chair handy next to you. Okay, so let's get some good stretches in. Before we come onto our backs, let's find ourselves in a comfortable seat. So remember, feel free to slide blocks or a blanket underneath your hips so you can sit up tall. Legs can be crossed or legs can be extended forward. Let's relax those shoulders down. Bottom of the chin parallel to the floor. We'll take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, let's lean the head off to one direction. Notice if the head's starting to drop back. Let's try to imagine there's a wall behind you, and just want to keep that back of the head just very lightly touching that wall. And then find your good stretch. So if that means drawing the chin a little bit forward, you can. But just find something that feels good so you feel a nice, easy, even stretch along the side of the neck. And then we'll slowly, with as minimal effort as possible, draw the head back to center. Take an inhale, think of lengthening, and then exhale over to this other side. And then making any micro adjustment. But as always, if you do have any concerns with your neck or any other part of the body, feel free to modify or even skip. We want, especially our stretches, to feel good to the body. And just a few more moments here. And then with that minimal effort, let's slowly upright the spine. Let's draw the fingertips back behind us, and then we'll open up the chest. Maybe look up or stay looking forward. Get that sensation of the shoulders drawing back. And then let's release. If you have your legs crossed, let's change the crossing of the legs. We're still sitting up tall. Let's draw those fingertips back behind us and then open up the chest. So it's up to you how far you'd like to walk your fingertips back behind you. Find the sensation of opening up through the chest. Heart is drawing forward. Maybe it's drawing up. Breathing here. And then let's walk ourselves back to center. Let's just do a little counter stretch, so hands onto the thighs. Let's round through the spine. Maybe your hands are on your shins, you're straightening the arms. Maybe you're starting to lean back a little bit. Maybe the knees are lifting a little bit further away off the mat. That's fine. And just kind of feel it out, stretch it out. Maybe the chin is drawing towards the chest, or maybe your head is just in a neutral, relaxed position. And then we'll pull ourselves up. And then now we'll face our chair. We'll release onto our back. So slowly relax down. Place the feet onto the chair. And we'll come into our thread the needle pose using the chair. So let's cross the right ankle over the left thigh above the knee. Flex through the foot. And maybe you're just staying here, guiding that knee away from you, keeping those hips even. Or maybe you're drawing the leg shape a little bit closer to you, placing the foot onto the chair. And maybe you're just relaxing the arms down by the sides, or cactus arms for that chest stretch, or even interlacing the fingers back behind the head and relaxing here, moving those shoulders towards the hips. So our legs are being supported by the chair. And then we'll just get this added little stretch for the chest as well. Something just relaxed, something that feels good. Keep that right foot flexed though. And remember, if the joints aren't feeling this pose for today, feel free to back off, or you can just hug that right knee into the chest. That's always an option as well. And then see if you can relax as best as you can. So probably the only energy in the body is with that right foot. And then let's slowly release, go to the other side. Remember, the option is to, when you cross left ankle over right thigh, flex to the left foot, maybe just working on gently guiding that left knee away from you. Or if you want a deeper stretch, drawing the leg shape towards you, cactus arms. Or if you did interlace fingers behind the head that first time, interlace opposite finger, opposite pinky on top. And then your thumbs are there, right at the base of the skull, right at the neck. So you can even give your neck a little massage with those thumbs. That feels really nice. Or you could just come into stillness, whatever feels good. All right. Couple more rounds of breath. I'm enjoying my neck massage right now with my thumbs. And then let's slowly release. Let's leave the left leg onto the chair and hug the right knee in towards the chest. So you're welcome to stay here. If you want a little bit more, you can start to lift your bottom off of the mat so you really get a deeper stretch. But do what feels good. There's a little bit more energy required here. So if you want something more relaxed, just keep your bottom down onto the mat. And then let's go over to the other side. Right leg onto the chair, hug the left knee in. Maybe stay here, or maybe start to lift your bottom off of the mat. And then let's slowly release. Let's draw those feet together right at the center of the chair, a little bit more towards the front edge of the chair. And let's let the knees kind of just sway over to the right. You can even stack the feet if you want. And then let's look to the left. Maybe you're extending your left arm out to the left. Just a nice easy twist that feels good. And then let's come through center, over to the other side. You can stack the right foot atop the left, You can take your right arm straight out to the right. You can turn your head to the right. Nice easy twist. And then let's slowly make our way back to center. Come back. Hug those knees in. Happy baby pose. With whatever movement or last stretch you'd like to make. Whatever feels good for the body. Sometimes I like to draw the soles of my feet together with my hands on my ankles and then use my elbows to draw the inner thighs away. So it's kind of a floating butterfly position. If you feel like you need an extra stretch for the inner legs or just hugging those knees in and then releasing those feet for Shavasana. So for our final pose of Shavasana, you're welcome to keep the lower legs onto the chair and whatever, maybe the feet are to the out or the inside. If you'd like more of a traditional Shavasana, you can remove or place the legs to the outside of the chair. You might have to scooch a little bit. And then separating those legs to the outside of the chair. So whatever feels best for you. For me today, I think I do want a little bit of elevation for my feet. And then arms down by the sides. Turn the palms to face up. Make sure you're not lifting your head or drawing the chin too close to the chest. So it's just neutral position. So the eyes are pointing straight up to the ceiling. And then maybe closing the eyes if that feels good. Feel the body relaxed. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale out the mouth. And enjoy these next few minutes of Shavasana where we're focused on just relaxing and rejuvenating. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. Have some movement into your fingers, into your toes to gently awaken the body. And then on the next inhale, you can stretch the arms up over the head or to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, being very careful of the chair, hug the right knee into the chest, followed by the left. Give them a squeeze. And then gently roll onto one side. And slowly press your way up to a comfortable seat, head coming up last. And let's draw the palms of the hands together at our heart. And just take a moment here Recall your intention or your dedication, or just feel peace. And then let's stack the hands atop our heart. Take a moment to feel gratitude for whatever you are grateful for, whether it's something small or something big. And then let's draw the palms of the hands back together at our heart. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, bow your head. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you through your practice today. As always, it is a privilege and a joy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day and continue to stay healthy and keep safe. And we'll see you next time.